Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for the Data Science Masterclass on how to analyze data to find growth opportunities using AI, powered by HP Inc. India. I'm Anil Chopra, VP Research and Consulting at Cybermedia Research, and your host for today's session. Now, we have a very exciting session for you today on a hot and emerging area, AI and data science, and I'm sure most of you would want to know how to really use AI to analyze data for your business. What more can you do beyond just analysis with AI? A lot of questions you must be having on your mind. Before we start, just a quick note that for the duration of today's session, all participants will be in listen-only mode. You can, however, keep sending us your questions through the chat window. We'll do a Q&A after the, at the end of the first session. And if you ask some good questions, you might be the lucky winner of an Amazon gift voucher worth 500 rupees. So please pay attention and keep posting your questions during Saurabh's session. And to set the context for today's, for today's masterclass, we all know that data has become the new oil because, which makes it essential for everybody, every organization to leverage it effectively for their business growth. And if I look at traditional data management methods, they're just not enough, because you have to collect the data, you have to refine it, you have to structure it in a manner so that you can draw insights. So that's why, data science is actually the need of the hour for today's digital economy. And leveraging AI to analyze data to find business growth opportunities is extremely challenging and actually easier said than done. And you have to know what questions to really ask on your organization's data. You have to establish a data culture in your organization so that even business users can act like data scientists. How do you really do all that? Well, to really answer these questions, it's my pleasure to welcome our expert speaker, Saurabh Moody. He's the Chief Data Scientist at Alpha AI. Can we please welcome Saurabh on screen? Welcome, Saurabh, and thanks for joining us today. Before I hand it over to you, I'll just spend a few minutes to give a brief introduction about you to our attendees. Saurabh has over 24 years of experience across numerous organizations. He introduces himself as the person who quit Microsoft to build Alexa for business intelligence to help CXOs get answers on their data and lead data literacy initiatives. He's a NASSCOM Emerge 50 winner. He loves open source and is out to solve the problem of making data availability for every business user using natural language. He is currently democratizing data by building world's first AI analyst platform, Alpha AI. Welcome once again, Saurabh. We'd love to hear your insights on how to analyze data to find growth opportunities using AI. Thanks, and over to you. For the attendees, as I said, please keep posting your questions so that we can do the Q&A round at the end of Saurabh's presentation. Thanks, Saurabh, and over to you.
Hello, everyone. I hope everybody is able to hear me, see me right. I'm going to share my screen and let me know if you're able to see it. Okay. Is my screen visible properly to everyone?
Yes, it's visible here, Saurabh.
Excellent, great. A very good afternoon to everybody, and I'm hoping the audience is based out of India. My name is Saurabh, guys, and I am one of the founders at Alpha AI. Alpha AI is one of the leading companies in AI which uses natural language processing. And please bear with me with the keywords because in just few minutes, I'm going to decipher all of that for you. I am very positive that a lot of businesses, a lot of people have been hearing these keywords for so long, and they might have, say, watched videos, read articles and all. But I was actually interviewing one of the journalists like just a few months ago. And this journalist was very curious. And she was asking like, Saurabh, what is AI? What is chatbot and other things? And how is AI useful and all? And after 25 minutes of this Q&A, I asked like, are you okay? Have you understood everything? And she said, yes, I have understood everything. So I asked her out of curiosity that, is this the first article or you might have written a lot of articles? And she says very confidently, Saurabh, I have written so many numerous articles around AI. And she comes from a very reputed, newspaper company. I said, have you actually seen AI? Have you actually experienced it yourself? Have you tried it and seen like what it can do for you? And that time she was full of surprise. She never expected that question. And that last year when I was before even like I started, I went on like a citizen data scientist mission, where in this mission I thought like a lot of people have heard these keywords, read articles and all, but nobody has actually ever seen any of these things over there. So I thought in today's session I can actually make you see a lot of these things rather than going through a PowerPoint presentation. So in this PowerPoint presentation, I'm just going to feed in some keywords to establish the context. I'll run it in like say in next 5 minutes, 4 minutes, so that you can be aware of those keywords. When you, your colleagues, your friends, your business partners, they are talking, you would know what these keywords actually mean over there. And I'm going to talk about what is possible using this technology. And I'm going to show a demo towards the end that what we were able to do as a company with this technology. And the fourth point, I'll be also focusing upon how you can make better business, or like how you can make more dollars in your business just using data analysis. And what I'm going to talk about is this takes its roots from the last 20 years of MIS based reporting. I'm very positive everybody might be knowing what is MIS reports and all. So this is the AI version of the MIS report, to put it in a very simpler way. So let me go ahead and start. So this is myself. Just to give you a background, I used to work for a company known as Microsoft some 18 years ago in their database team. So a lot of people, if you know database, there is a database known as SQL Server, which is one of the world's most popular. So I used to be an engineer there. And while I was working at Microsoft, I realized that there was at a pace which these big organizations work that is a little bit slow than to my taste. At that point in time, I was very young, I think almost like 22, 23. For all of you to know, it's since I have got like more than 2 decades of experience, there is a quiz for you that what can be my age, which I'll answer in the last. So when I left this thing, Microsoft, that's where I started to think about data, and I built various technologies to enable larger organizations like Target, Toys R Us. These are one of the biggest retail companies in the world. So I ended up building analytics platforms for them. And after building those analytics platforms, I realized that the way people consume data, they require another people, like another technology enabled person who can help him get data. Imagine your scenario where you want to get some kind of a report and you have to go to somebody else and you have to explain what report you want, and then he is going to technically write some query and get you all of that data. So that is where I started to think about, how about if I ask a question, what is the monthly performance for chocolates? What should happen? So if I ask this thing to my data team or my data person, professional data analyst, he's going to get the data for all of these things and put it on the screen. So let me try and tell you, if you ask this question, imagine an AI is capable of giving you an answer like this. There is an 89% drop in the chocolate category, and it's driven by 20% decline in the weighted distribution, 18% in the average price of two products, which is Chocolate and Choco Bubbles. This is the real answer you would want today. Now, today, to achieve this thing, it's a little bit difficult. What you can also see is, you can also see some charts and graph. So in this thing, the answer which you saw, that falls into something known as NLG, which is natural language generation. This is the keyword. So many times when you see NLG, that means AI is being used to create an answer out of your numbers. So on the right hand side, you find the numbers, and what NLG technology is doing, it is just creating an English text for it so that it is easily understandable for the business users. That is one thing it does. Now, for this thing, we will go through the basics. These are 3 keywords which you will learn today in this session. One keyword is called NLP, second keyword is NLU, third keyword is NLG. NLP stands for natural language processing, where you are trying to create a technology, or this is an AI form of technology where the system can understand what you're asking. Okay. And system can act accordingly. So that is called NLU, when the system understands what it has to do. NLG is the answer part of it. Okay. So we got 3 keywords: NLP, NLU, NLG. Now, we also talked about that what happens when the NLP is happening. NLP is basically a form of language processing where the system is able to understand what you're saying and also giving help you get back the structured result, which I explained earlier. Now, what are the different forms where you can utilize these technologies? So one of the technologies what you can utilize is like, understanding, say like a sentiment detection, or one of the basic which is very popular for you is your spam filtering. So whenever you receive an mail and Google labels it like this is a spam, that is where this NLU kind of technologies are also used. And you might have also seen common examples like Alexa, series of the world. NLG I've already explained to you. So now you're aware of these three pieces. Now let me try and show you how they work in action. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So imagine you are running a retail store in the US, okay? And your retail store sells systems in a lot of subcategories, which can be binders, machines, phones, chairs, copiers, right? And now all your business is scattered across different states in the US, okay? Now you've got some data in the subcategory, you've got some data in different states, and you see some kind of monthly sales chart around this thing. Now, apart from this, you also get to see a pivot table. Imagine what you would like to do is you would like to combine certain pieces from this chart, like some of the subcategories, and fuse it with focus on certain states which you have. And you would like to see both results on a monthly level. Think about it. What is the best way to do this thing? Today, if you would like to do this thing, you would have to engage to a human, a data analyst, explain him this is how I want. He is going to do this thing and get you the result. It might take from few hours to few weeks. But with the AI technology, what if I can ask, can you show me my monthly sales for chairs, paper, phones, and machines, and also talk about copiers, but focus on New York business and say California and Texas, and do this thing for last 5 years? So what I was able to do is I was able to ask a question right now, and machine was able to understand. It was able to focus on my last 5 years of business, focus on certain subcategories, and focus on certain states. Now, if I really wanted to break this further by states, I can just write state. Now, what you saw is a machine's ability to understand this entire question, that you can see that it is live, it works. Okay, it's not any kind of video. Now we can go ahead and do this thing. Now, what machines and how machines are helping you? Imagine if you're very new to the business and you ask this question, you don't know what data I need to look at. Okay, you have asked this data, some data has come, but you are not able to understand this chart and graph. Now, this is a very good use of NLG, okay, where you're able to see that New York has the highest sales. And now in an insight, it is saying on December 2021, our New York state had the highest thing which you need to monitor. Now, if I have to understand this thing from everybody's perspective, how many people were able to find from this busy looking chart that New York is something what you need to focus, and December 2021? You can write it in comment. If you have to go ahead and I think Anilji, they can write comments, right?
Yes, they can post their comments in the chat window.
Excellent, great. So guys, now one of the good things what you can do is while the session is going on, you can also write a question which you want me to ask from this machine. So you can try this entire technology first time live. So if there is any question which is coming to your mind, and I'll tell you how to formulate the questions, and after 5 minutes, I can pick certain questions from there and ask over there. So now what you saw, that the system was able to understand your questions, give you the results, get you a summary, and also get you insights so that you can focus upon the kind of data to which the system has got access to, is so that you can formulate your question is you have got category level data, subcategory level data, product level data, customer level data, state, city, region level data, profit level data, and quantity. So you can pick any of these things. Now coming back, I realized that in New York something is happening. What about if I would like to know deeper, dig deeper to it? So I can ask, say, can you show me the list of all our customers who have been buying products from us from New York? Focus on December 2021 business and tell me from what, say, category, subcategory they were buying it from, and what store clusters they were primarily focusing upon. And also, if you can tell me what was their preferred ship mode, that will be really cool. Now, what you're able to see is that if I'm able to ask this question, system is able to specifically pinpoint that Frank Presses is the person who is actually getting us that business, and that is where that business comes in. Now, this is one of the functionalities what you are able to see. Let us go back to the business. And let me try and show you with help of this kind of functionality. If you wanted to do your own system to understand how can we use data. So in a business, everybody is a participant when we are running a business. We would like to grow our sales, let's say by 20%. Now our business is very huge. It is happening in different regions, city and all. How do I know which area I need to focus upon? So what you should be able to do. So if you have a pen and a paper or a notebook and a pen, this is the best time. If you don't have it, please grab one, because I'm going to tell you something which you can perform using any kind of other applications also, right? And I'm also going to focus upon how you are able to do analysis of data, because that was one of the highlight. When Anil reached out to me, I thought, like, let me teach people how to analyze data apart from looking at the report. So the first question you can ask is, show my category level sales. So I said, okay, my category level data is visible, and I can see that I'm making more money in technology and then in furniture and in office supplies. I would like to say subcategory level sales. So I've got some subcategory level sales. So typically, whenever you have to start analyzing data, pick one of the column of data where you have got no more than 10, 15 records, like 10 different types. So let's say here on this screen, you can focus on your subcategory level data. And you can see, hey, I can focus on my phone business and say machine business, because they look very good to me. So I can just try phones and machines business. Now, what I can do is I can try and turn this into a pie. And why am I doing it? Because I'm establishing something what we call a national average. So whenever, if you are looking at data, you should be able to take up a column which has got 10, 15 values, focus on any of the top 2, 3 values over there, so that you need to find now the opportunity in the data. So here, what you see at the national level, my machines sales is 36%. And my phone sales is 65%, like almost. So you can say 35, 65. Now, in order to find this thing, I would now like to know that whether this is consistent. Pick up a column now, which is mostly on the location or the demographic side. So if you've got a column which is focusing on state, region, something like that, that is the column you should feel. Because the sales, the way sales happen, sales will be very, very similar in similar region. Like the reasons for which people are buying your product in one region can be different for another region. But if there are 4 states in the same region, there is a more likelihood that people are using that data for that region. So the behavior of one region can be is very much applicable to all the states or a smaller region, but the same behavior is not applicable to other regions. Now we are focusing on 35:65 ratio. We would like to see how it is panning out across region. That should be your second level information. So you can do this thing across region. Now, if you see, this is one way to look at data, but now in this machine, I wanted to break it by region, not by category first. So I can delete this thing and I can write this thing before subcategory. You can also assess with this AI and all how easy it has become to do these things. Now, if you see in your screen, I realized that my 65% of phones is not the same across, because something which is average 65, somewhere it will be more, somewhere it will be less. That's why it is 65. I'm so sorry to bring little bit of maths in, but if you know these basic stuff, then you can analyze any kind of data. So I was talking about for a 65% phones, I am now looking on for where do you guys see? So now the question for you is, if my average sales of phone is 65% across US, and these are the region level data. So one region it is 72%, another region it is 60%, another region it is say 51%, another region it is 69. So I'll name the region for you so that you can tell me. So now my question to everybody is, if you are a business and you figured out your national average of a product sales is 65% and you are selling 72% in central, 60% in east, 51% in south, and 70% in west, where do you see the opportunity of growing your phones business? Whether it is central, east, south, or west. You can write it in the comment. So you can think about that. If whatever you're selling, 65% of your money comes from that category, right? And you are trying to see this thing across region. One region it is 72%, other region is 60, and then you've got south is 50, and then you've got west. Which region you can focus? Wow, great. So now I'm seeing different results. So Dharmesh is saying south, Kaustubh is saying east, Romy is saying south. Think about it. If you are doing this meeting in a room and you ask your team, guys, we have to grow our business by 20%. What region we can focus? What do you think will happen in the room? People who are managing east, they'll say, hey, we should focus on east. We should run our marketing campaign on east. South guy will say, okay, let's do this thing in south. There'll be no different. And what is happening in that room, it is basically a discussion of opinions. Now, imagine if the south guy is bringing more sales, and if you don't have any data like this, all your marketing budget is going to the south guy. If you've got somebody who is very experienced in the team and is running in north, whatever he says will be right. So in businesses, from last 20 years, we have been making decisions based on either authority, experience, or the money on the table. Now, this approach, if you see, it cuts through all of those challenges. Now, we all know in my south, my sales have been only 50% ratio, and there is a clear-cut 65% is an average. So there is a clear-cut gap of 15%. So we should try and focus on south first to go ahead and increase it to 15%. So let us say we define south as per Romy, and Kaustubh, I'm going to come back to you on this. So instead of region, now I'm saying show me for south, but let us go further. In south, do I need to run ads in all the states in south? Because there might be so many of them, right? Now, again, if I ask, everybody can say south, let us run in Bangalore. But maybe Bangalore, you're already doing good. You don't know. Now, rather than bringing opinions on table, if you start focusing on data, you will get to see how easy it has become. So in south, we are able to see that Alabama has got only 47% contribution, wherein this can be 65. But in other states, Arkansas, it is total 100%. So that means the opportunity is not here for phones, but for machinery. You see how I'm interpreting data to actually get you to the opportunity, right? So in Alabama, we can focus on phones, get around like 10% very easily. And then Arkansas, I will not focus on phones because I can see that thing. What I sell in Arkansas is only phones. So there has to be an opportunity on machines. Now, maybe in Florida, my phone sales are very, very down, right? It is just 40%. So maybe I can focus. So Alabama and Florida. Now, let us say we figured out that Alabama, Florida, and North Carolina, because they are less than around 40, I can pick any one of these. But let me think about it. Is it just about the percentage or the real numbers also? Maybe there is only 2 phones which is sold in one place and it looks like 100%. That might not be an opportunity. So from here, you need to move from a percentage based numbers to a real number. So here you can see in 47%, the total phones were just $2,000. So growing a $2,000 business by 10% is hardly $200, or like $3,000 business by 10%, $300. It's a very small opportunity. Okay, let's go ahead and think about the other piece. Here in Florida, it was $15,000 and it is again 20%. So it is almost $3,000 opportunity. So we know the opportunity is more in Florida for $3,000. Now, when we go in North Carolina, here the opportunity is again 20%, but sale is only $9,000. So out of these 3 opportunities, I can focus on Florida. And guys, this is just one way to look at data. My whole idea of running this session was to help you understand that how do you connect the data points and find opportunities in data. Now, in this particular platform, what I was able to do, I have now identified a few states and all, but maybe I'm looking out for Florida and I would like to know what kind of customers do we have in Florida. So maybe we can ask the system to do this thing rather than a real person. Before I go and show that thing, how many of you, it is a Boolean question answer, you all can write, and I'm going to pick the questions also what you're writing here. It's a Boolean question. How many of you understand that if you have got data like, can you show me the sales and profit for our customers in Florida? So now you see there are so many customers. How do you know which customer you can focus upon? So in order to understand which customer to focus upon, what kind of analysis you can perform? Okay, so anybody who can tell me what is the next step? The AI has enabled you to get to the data. AI has shown you data of the customers. AI is showing you data for Florida, and you're seeing some lot of like bars over here, but it's very, very hard to make any sense of it. So what now AI is able to do is, if you want, AI can perform an analysis of this thing further, right? There is a little bit knowledge which is required when you work with AI. You need to tell AI what analysis to perform. For this kind of data, I'm going to perform a quadrant analysis. If you can just give a show of yes or no, how many of you know quadrant analysis? And as per you, if I give this data to somebody, how much time you think it would take for any human to perform a quadrant analysis on this data? So how much time you think? 5 minutes, 1 hour, 2 days, or probably like say few minutes, few hours, or few days? Anything? What do you think? It is A, few minutes. It is B, few hours. It is C, few days. And D, God knows when it's going to come. A, okay. Shri is saying A, very good, C. Maybe Shri knows about it. Kaustubh says C, few days and weeks. Excellent. Guys, come on, like let's make it more fun and more interactive, right? It doesn't cost you a single dollar to write A, B, and C. Maybe there is a gift from Anil coming on your way. Okay, great. Come on. So we've got Shri saying A, Kaustubh is saying C, Bala is saying A. So this time, 2 people are talking about A, 3 people are talking about A, 2 people are talking about C, and there is 1 person talking about B. Let me try and tell you, if you have to do this thing, using an AI, you can just write quadrant analysis. It takes just few seconds for you in today's world, 2022. You don't need a high paid data analyst in front of you to be able to do it. So you can ask this question and you suddenly see out of nowhere. This is the power of right analysis with so many customers. Now, you know, there is a customer called Sean Miller who gives you maximum sales, which was not very evident. Now I say like, guys, I don't want to focus on Sean because it is screwing up all my data. A lot of people, it's very hard to get rid of Sean. What I can do is I can say where my sum sales is less than $20,000. Now what would happen? Now Sean is gone and now you see more dots appear. Now we're talking about Christine, where we are doing $1,000. Now maybe I can say, let us focus on where we are making sales less than $1,000. Can you believe it? How far we have come, and we are able to do these things over there. So if you all, so I hope, wow, everybody is saying AAA. Wow, that's very cool. Thank you guys. I think like the lot of people are having their tea right now. That's the reason I can see that excitement. Okay, and I'm feeling like to get one. I'm going to show you something really crazy if you guys are prepared for it, and you will be one among the very few people. We have not even talked about this product on a say on a public environment. This is the first time we are going to talk about it, show this product to you. Okay, now how many of you want me to show you an unimaginable technology? I'm going to give you a demo for another 60 seconds. If you want to see that demo, and if I can see it because I have very less time, right? If there are 10 people who would like to see that, I can go for that. So let us see how many people would like to see that demo. Yes, Kaustubh says yes. Okay, great. I've got only one note. We have got 9 more to go. Wow. Okay. So Anilji, I think we have got enough people who are interested to see this technology, and let me see. And I'm giving you a disclaimer. If you're sitting on a chair and all, and you can hold that chair, hold that handle, because when we were building this thing and we talked about doing this thing with others, we had fun. So let me share my screen and let me show you what we have been building. There is it. So I'm going to share this screen. And as you would have noticed that I have a very interactive style of sharing it. So this time, of course, you have a screen. How many of you know the name of the product which you're seeing on a screen? Have you used this product? Have you seen? This is the product. Have you seen this product anytime? I hope. Can anybody tell me the name of the? Okay. I think there are 3 people who have used it. Oh, 4 people know this thing product. Okay. Seems like this product is very popular. Oh, 7, 8 people. So it was like 15 years ago. In older days, it's a trivia for you. When Microsoft Office used to be Microsoft Office, in around before 2005, if you switch on all the toolbars on the Office screen, it will take 3/4 of your screen. And when in my team, when we were working on this problem, we took a note of all the toolbars, that how many toolbars do you think actually Microsoft Office has, specifically Excel? Think about it. Do you think they've got 100 toolbars, like 100 different options in an older version of Office, or it is like 1,000, or is it like say 5,000? Any guesses? Very few. So for you to know, when we were building this new version of Office used to have more than 3,000 different options. 3,000. So right now, what you see is a much more sophisticated version, which was launched in 2007 in Office 2007. So all of you who are still using the older version, time to upgrade. Now imagine if I wanted to know how is our sales. Is my screen visible properly? Can you read? Cross categories, okay, and subcategories. Also show me the breakup by segments. Can you believe if I press enter, what's going to happen? So welcome to the world of AI. So now what you're able to see, I'll zoom it a bit, people. So now what you're able to see, we can ask our questions directly in Microsoft Excel. You don't need to worry about anything. And the system should be able to get you the raw data. System should be able to get you pivot tables and get you charts. Now imagine if you wanted to find opportunities, the same one which we're trying to do. Now on my screen, what I can do is, let me increase the size here. I can say, so this is happening because of an add-on which we have done like as a company. And I can go ahead and write like, say, sales category, and say I wanted to check out by different region. If I say give me top 10 customers, and the system understands if you're not specifying anything, it can be with sales. Maybe you can focus upon, say, like sales and average profit. So what I'm trying to show you was that now the technology has come really far, and now you should be able to use data to find opportunities in data by one of the techniques which I showed you, and be on a lookout for natural language processing, NLP, NLG kind of technologies. And thanks a lot, everyone, for being a part of it. And thanks a lot, Anil, and back to you.
Thanks a lot, Saurabh. I think fantastic session. I think very, very interactive, and people have really found it useful. But I thought there's a lot of questions that are coming in, so we'll take the opportunity to do a Q&A, and for which I'll also ask Wilton to join me on the screen. Can we please have Wilton on the screen? Yeah, hi Wilton. So Wilton is the category manager for mobile workstation VR data science and machine learning at HP Inc. India. I think a great demo, I think it has been there. And one question I immediately saw, Saurabh, the way that you were asking questions and quickly the things would pop up and the results would really pop up. What kind of power do you really need? Do you really need a workstation style of machine for for doing that quick analysis? You're on mute.
So, am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible now.
Okay. 1 second. Okay.
Wilton seems to have.
Wilton is not there. Let's wait for him. Is he joining back?
And while he joins back, you could probably just give the answer. What kind of machine are you using for this kind of power? It seems Saurabh's screen is also frozen.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing anything. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think for these kind of machines, there are two ways to go about it. Typically, we suggest that you can pick any of the favorite clouds like the AWS and the Azure of the world or a Google of the world. And if you want to do this on your own machine, HP has a very specific series called Z series, which is very, very popular for doing data science, data model kind of stuff. So if you really want to try it on your own machine, that kind of machine works. And but preferred way is always using any of the cloud services. Then you can consume it from any machine you feel like. In our discussions with enterprises, we always recommend them to use some kind of cloud.
Okay, but yeah, locally you would need a data science class, a workstation class machine to be able to do slower processing.
Right,
okay.
right.
Okay. And does this, AI talk to any business application like SAP or any data float across the business data? What is the prerequisite for the same to start?
So typically at Alpha AI, while I was building these things, so we realized that there are lot kind of databases which are very popular, but there is a new breed of databases like say SAP of the world. These are application databases like SAP or Tally or any other ERP of your choice. So what you can do is you can create a mechanics where you can copy a set of SAP data into normal database and then connect this AI system to that database. That's how you are able to do this thing. And SAP is one of the very common implementations which is available in the market for doing this kind of jobs.
Okay. And what about the technical details? That's a question on that, talk about some technical details like the platform, the language that is used, what is the kind of DB required, what sort of resources in terms of core and GPU, etc. So I think that backend people are really keen on knowing. Front end, wow, but what about the backend?
Right. No, for this kind of thing, so Alpha, typically the main AI engine which you see in action, it runs on a 64 CPU core. Okay, so you don't need to own a 64 CPU core. I was just telling you the backend infrastructure of the service which we have deployed. So it's a 64 CPU core. It uses technologies like Node.js and Python, which is one of the very popular technologies which is there. And on terms of Node.js, Python, it uses a lot of stuff around C#, the one which you saw in the Microsoft Excel, it uses C# over there. Certain pieces are written in C++ also for perform, but it's very, very little. Majorly, it is between Node.js and Python. And on the core side, I've already told you, for end users to use this kind of technology, they don't need to have any power or any special machine. They can go on any web browser and start using it. One of the things also you need to remember is the way you have data typically in your SAPs or any of the bigger systems, it is kept in a way where it is easy to keep the data. But before you start consuming or this putting this data into an AI system, you need to clean the data a bit, model the data a bit, and that is where your most of your effort and time goes into. The AI systems are very capable now, but data engineering part takes like, if you're very, very bad, it can take like 4 weeks. If you're really good and straightforward, it can be as good as 1 week kind of stuff over there.
Yeah. Now, one interesting question that often comes to mind on, when you look at these kind of things, and that's the question I've been getting from the attendees also, is terms of getting the data ready. Because, you can do a lot of this analysis and all that. If you have all the data, how do you really collect the data and store it in order to be in a, make it in a situation that you can do this all kind of analysis?
It's so I think just a pre-COVID day. So I was invited to London to speak where all the banks were there. So there were like a lot of banks, the big banks of London. And I was invited to talk about AI, very similar looking talk. And before me, surprisingly, people gave talk about that, hey, we need data to do this, we need data to do that. 20 years ago, when you used to, whenever you wanted to do something, and what was the only way technology team can tell you, right? Hey, it's going to take some time. You say, why it is going to take some time? You say, like, hey, we don't have data. But today, when you say it in 2022, you will not have data problems as of now. All the data which you saw here is simply a data of a bill. It will be very hard for me to find a company which does billing. So if you're doing billing, this is just the transaction details, which has got customer and the name of the product he is buying, and basically the date he's buying from. These are the very basic thing. And in less than 20 different columns of data, you can get it connected with your Tally data, like a simple voucher looking data. And what we realize is there is one other step on top of this data. What people can do is people can do data feature engineering. Okay, what is data feature engineering? Let us say you are selling in your system, you are selling data in a city. Now, I don't need to have a column for a state and a region because I know this city will fall into some state and region, and I might not have. So that way I can secure a list of city, state and region and country and connect that thing with city, and I'll automatically get state and region. That's one way to look at. Second, maybe for business needs, I want to further group these states or cities into, like, say, big cities and small cities. So you can again select those cities which you anyways have, and you can call it big or small. So with this data feature engineering and the data which you have, if you think about it hard, it is the same Pareto rule applies. A lot of people spend their lives in collecting so much of data that they're not able to use the data. It is 80-20 rule. In data science, in data analytics, you should focus more upon delivering the value on whatever you have rather than spending more time. Because if you can't deliver value on whatever you have, there is no surety that you'll be able to deliver value even if you have more data. So focus on the first low hanging fruit of data. Try and do smaller practices, smaller deployment, smaller proof of concept, smaller examples to find. And if you're able to do that thing successfully, it will be very, very easy for you to do it. And you will be very surprised that 80%, 20% of your data is very happily giving you 80% of the analysis over there. I'm very positive about it. And I'm talking about with so many hundreds of enterprise analysis projects which I've delivered, from a Heathrow airport to a small shop like somewhere in US.
And this data needs to be stored in a structured format. Can it also work in an unstructured format? Nowadays, a lot of data, and I think 80% of the data is unstructured.
So I was working with one of the government security agencies, and in that security agencies, they used to buy a lot of products. And whenever that product used to be delivered at their place, they used to get a gate pass. And in that gate pass, somebody will write what all has come. Okay. Now, this was a thing of a past. And typically, whenever you're using handwritten notes or different kind of, say, receipts and all, in today's AI technology, you can take that unstructured data, which is like a note for you, and then you should be able to generate a table out of it. So now you can leverage a lot of image processing and AI-based technologies to convert your unstructured data, which is lying there, into structured data. And in today's world, as I mentioned in my previous answer itself, majority of the data is just a transactional data. Focus on your transactional data, follow the money. It is very hard for me to believe that somebody can exchange money without putting in any system. So if you're not doing billing, then you're out of scope anyways, right? I can't do much. But if you're doing billing, at least in any kind of computerized system, and use any SAP, Tally, any of those systems, you're good to go. If you're an online commerce company, you're using any of the Shopify's of the world, Magento of the world, then also you can use all of that data. If you are an email company sending a lot of emails and all, especially all this normal customer communication is anyways recorded, which is structured, and your billing information is structured, and all your other information is also typically structured. So that is where the structured information come in. Don't focus on the unstructured data. If it is just some gate pass or few of the things, maybe the problem is much more larger. When we started to work with hospitals, somebody came to me and said, like, Saurabh, how can we digitize a doctor's prescription? And 5 years ago, when somebody would have asked me, I can say, like, I can't even read it. We need special people to read it. So forget about any PC to be able to read it. But today you see how people have solved this problem. If you heard about startups like Practo and other people have started to add those things as an input level itself. Though I have not seen any examples which are very great with handwriting of a doctor, but I think the world is moving in a direction. Maybe in coming few years, you should be able to digitize them in a much more easy format. But for now, focus on the smaller data, hanging fruits, connect it to data, whatever decision you're taking. Don't go on opinion or say, specifically like the power play which happens in the room, like whoever has his senior or whoever is bringing more money, these are the only two people who are allowed to speak, and rest everybody, they are just like they have to follow. So use data in that organization, start utilizing to make the smaller decision. You will not believe that how you would have never thought about it. Actually, what I mean to say, start practicing it. One data decision a week itself, in the end of the month you will see that how much confident you are, because now you don't have to prove your point, just show the data on the face, and that's about it, and you can be anyone in the company. And for others also, one more thing. So I, as in my introduction, I also run some few free LinkedIn classes, LinkedIn live sessions and on around an initiative we call Citizen Data Scientist. We believe that everybody who is non-technical, they should have access to data. They don't need to know technology to be able to do this thing. So what AI is doing today is lowering the barrier for all of you over there. Hope that gets you a little bit of information. Sorry, it was a little long for you.
No, I think good, well explained. There's another question that has come in on whether data should be read from the data warehouse, the data mart, which is used for analysis purpose, or can it directly work on a real-time system to read the data on a real-time basis? So if so, whether there will be an impact on performance on the OLTP system.
So one of the challenges in the world when people were doing analytics was that a lot of people were reading the data from the OLTP system directly. Think about it. What is an OLTP system? For everybody else, imagine you are using Tally, and when you're adding any voucher, I'm taking an example of Tally, imagining an assumption that you guys are more familiar with Tally, right? I hope everybody is. So in Tally, whenever you add a voucher, what you are adding is basically a party name and an amount, and the other party name and amount, one being debited and other being credited, along with a note. When you store this data, so Tally would decide that how this data has to be stored. And wherever Tally stores this data, that system is called OLTP. T stands for transactional data. Okay. And you would know the way Tally has stored this data, storing data is transactional data, is called a transactional system. That is where you'll find OLTP keywords over there. If you start reading from where somebody is writing, that means you're interfering in that system, literally, actually. So there is a higher chance that you're slowing down that system, because the way database writes on a system, it makes a lock. So it say, hey, now nobody else is going to write because I am writing it. Because if 5 people start writing at the same time, it would not work so well. So in the writing system, it's very, very complex for you to go ahead and read it. The best practices you should use is take a copy of your OLTP data, right? And then you might not need all the data also, because the Tally is writing 200 other things along with this data. For your analysis, you don't need 200 other things. So if you're trying to read an OLTP system, it's going to be more, say, harder for you to read. There is more risk if you read, and you're reading too much of data over there. So the better way to do this thing, how other larger organization or smaller organizations can do, make a copy of that data. Okay, always. People typically in a real-time system, they set up a data what do we say, data replication, a database replication. So as soon as the data goes right in a Tally database or SAP database, it will be replicated in another database. Now you can read what all data you want to read from this system. Now this system is still an OLTP system. So a recommendation is you need to move on an OLAP system, where A stands for analysis. So what you need to do is you can read all the data of an OLTP, pick the columns you are interested in, and push them on an OLAP system. There is one more big difference in how OLTP and OLAP works. OLTP, I'm giving you more information so that people can understand the basics of it. In an OLTP system, are typically very cost effective. It will cost you say like 2 lakh rupees for the entire year, because the data is stored in a hard disk. So why they're having a lock on it? Because they're writing somewhere in the hard disk. So anything which stores on the hard disk is cheaper. That is OLTP. I mean, OLAP system, and you saw the performance was very, very lightning fast. That means I'm not reading it from a hard disk. Maybe it is already stored in some memory. So the real OLAP systems are in memory systems. They are very pricey, because if you want to have a 500 GB hard disk, it will cost you 5,000 rupees. But if you want 500 GB of memory or RAM, it's going to cost you like 5 lakh rupees. So that's the reason OLAP. But the only way you can save money is don't dump all your OLTP data in OLAP thinking it will be faster, because it will be garbage in, garbage out. Take your OLTP data, figure out what all columns you need, put it onto an OLAP system, right? Where you will need probably a very small amount of OLAP system over there. So that is the kind of system you should typically use over there.
Great. I think we've already come to the end of the session. It's already 4:30, and it's amazing how it's passed so quickly, and you explained everything so well. Thank you so much for that, Saurabh. I think obviously the attendees found it very, very useful, which is why there is a flurry of questions that is coming in. In fact, now we will have to announce a lot of the winners for the Amazon gift voucher, but yeah, we will go through the things, see all the questions, and then announce them on our website as to who are the winners, for the vouchers, and inform them later on. Before everyone leaves, I think there is a feedback form. You can just fill it up. It's in the chat window. You can click it, fill it up, and share your feedback with us, and it will help us understand. But thanks a lot, Saurabh. I think it's been a wonderful session, and very useful, very insightful. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of queries about this, how it works and all that. I'm still getting questions on it, but great to have you today for today, Saurabh.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much. And thank you everyone for listening in. I hope you all found it useful. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you, everyone. I think it was great. And thank you, Anil, for the opportunity. I'm very active on LinkedIn. That's a more asynchronous way of communicating things with me. And I'm very, very happy to help every non-technical person to answer and decipher these things, because the fact of the matter is that the technology has gone so advanced that you don't need to learn technology. Now technology is so advanced that they can mimic humans over there. So what you're seeing is how a human thinks. Now AI, you can train AI to do certain kind of jobs, and AI is doing that thing beautifully, as you already saw. So I'm hoping in next 50 years, right, most of the boring stuff, at least what we have to do, can be offloaded to AI, and we can be focused more upon strategizing, finding opportunities, executing, and be more productive about it. And for all of you who are very new to all of this data world, I think there are a lot of business opportunities, career opportunities which are available in data science, which I'm very positive you might be bombarded with. But it's a good time for you to start investing in yourself to learn about these technologies. And Anil does a beautiful job of doing this session where he's bringing all the experts across, right, and trying to get access to all of this information to all of you. That is one. And other part is, this is the right time for us to start learning those things. Never get bogged down with the complexity of this AI and all those things. These are not very, very complex. You don't need to know exactly how the technology is working. You need to know how to use the technology. Like how you know how to use Excel, now you need to know how to use AI. Your job remains the same. It's just like it's going to take lesser time. There is no bravery in learning all those Excel formulas. If you can ask a system and system can do it, nothing like it. So thanks a lot to everyone for joining us, and thank you, Anil.
Right. Thank you so much, Saurabh. And thanks everyone for attending. I hope you found it useful. Hope you have a great day ahead. Good evening. Goodbye. Take care. Stay safe.